my January 2024 bullet journal setup. So what you guys are looking at here is my very first diary ever. It was given to me when I had just turned 8 years old, and I wrote faithfully in it every single day for an entire year. There was one page per day of the year, and I wrote in it right before going to bed every night. Most of the entries are pretty repetitive because when you're 8 years old, it's mostly school, chores, and things like that. But despite that, I found quite a few cute and funny things written down for the month of January. But before we get into the theme that I chose for January, first things first, I'm going to do my quarterly intentions spread. So the quarterly spread is very simple, the way that I do it. It is simply a space to write down my goals for that quarter and a couple of small spaces to write down my accomplishments, because sometimes I accomplish something that wasn't on the list of goals, and I like to write that down as well. And then also my takeaways, whatever I learned, whatever I can take away from it to be more successful with my goals in the future. So I'm starting out here just with a colorful wash of green, gray, and light teal across the top, and then using a stencil to stencil in a small space for my goals and little check marks. I have some spaces down on the bottom for my takeaways and my accomplishments, and then I am writing quarterly intentions across the top, January through March 2024, and then I'm lettering that in. So here I'm just kind of making a blob of color down below, and that's where I will write in my verse for the quarter. And I have chosen Colossians 3:14. It says, "And above all of these, have love, which is the bond of perfection." Now moving on to the January spread, I am starting with the calendar, which is 3 across and 7 down per day, 3 blocks and 7 down. And I add a little border all the way around it, and then the letters for the days of the week. My inspiration for the spread for January was reading about a certain day when my older sister had woken me up in the morning and told me that that morning I needed to go and walk my brother's 4-H lamb. This didn't happen very often, and I think that's why it stands out to me. He almost always walked his own lambs, and I did other lesser chores like feeding the chickens and dogs and stuff like that. But on that particular day that I wrote down the reason why I was walking his lamb, it was because my dad had surprised him with an airplane flight over the farm, and I distinctly remember watching the plane fly very low over the farm that day and just thinking it was super, super awesome. So because I remember that, and I remember walking the lambs very, very well as well, that is why I chose to base my inspiration for this month off of that memory. So you can see that I am painting a road that is going up a bit of a slope and then curving away, and there's the lake in the background. This was basically the route that the lambs would get walked every day. I did eventually have my own lamb just for 1 year, and then I never did it again because I didn't actually like it. The reason being was that, if I'm being honest, I didn't walk the lamb. The lambs walked me. And when I say walked, I actually mean they dragged me along because I was just a little twig, and these were big, strong, muscly market lambs, and they knew that at the end of their run they would get some sweet feed, grain, and so they would just drag me along, and I held on for dear life to the end of that leash. And it was no fun at the time, But it's really funny now, and I think it built up perseverance in me. So, yeah, I don't regret it. I'm happy that I did it, and it's a really fun memory. So, I also choose a Bible verse for the start of every month, and I chose Psalm 23:1. It's a very well known verse, and I chose this one because it goes along with the theme of sheep. So, with the cover page done and the calendar done, I am moving on to my overall monthly base, I guess you could call it. This is a multifunctional spread, and I've used this layout only once before last year, but I really loved it. And after that, when I tried a couple different ones, I regretted not going back to this one because this one was just the most functional for me, and I really enjoyed using it. In the very center of the 4-page spread, I am starting off with my sleep tracker. Across it is 31 spaces for the 31 days, and then down it's 24 for the 24 hours in a day. And then I'm going to pull out a few previous watercolor pages that I had done that were really just playing around, and I'm going to see if I can fit them in somewhere in the spread. I also have a chocolate wrapper, that's the brown paper, and I just really like the tone of it, so I thought that I would repurpose it. So I did a wash over the two pages, the two main pages, and then here you can see that I am just sticking on cut out pieces of paper, labels, and then little sections to write things down, notes over the month, and labels. And then I am gluing on pieces of those watercolors that I had done before, and later I'll write in the labels on all of these little sections and what they're for. Some of them are just extras, but I like having extra spaces. And as you can see on the inside of the flaps, I use one side for the menu and then the other side for my gratitudes. And here I'm writing in reflections of the month and a new word for the month. And then I am adding in my label now that the page has dried. January 2024 sleep tracker, and I've highlighted over my ideal sleep hours, which, if we're being honest here, they rarely happen. And I'm adding washi tape onto the edges, and I also added some of my watercolor pictures just to fill in the edges of the page, and then a ripped washi tape here along both of the outer pages as well. I really like the touch that the washi tape gave. It kind of pulled it all together. So I had little pieces in between each of these little sections as well, and I really like the look. And I wrote down January goals, which usually are baby steps that will get me to my quarterly goals. So you guys feel free to laugh at me, please, because I definitely laughed at myself. But here I meant to write down brain dump, and I didn't realize until I was completely done that I wrote down brand dump. I mean, what even is that, like a giant cereal dump or something? I don't know. Okay, so here you see me working on what is the school tracker for both of my older daughters. And what I do is I make a calendar where each day is 3 by 3 squares. And then each little square I color in a different color with a different highlighter from these highlighters. And then my key is over there on the left. These are the highlighters that I use. I love them so much. I will try to link them in the description in case anybody wants to try them. I highly recommend them. So I'm writing in my girls' names and adding just a little shadow. And then I will add in the specifications, which subjects are which in the key. The reason that I love this spread so much is that it helps me to keep track and be able to check and make sure we've done enough of each subject at the end of the month and see if we need to boost our efforts in one area or another, and that it's all in one simple spread together, easy to just see at a glance, what each child has been learning and how much of each subject they've been getting in. So here I am writing in the subjects, and basically how it works is that each day, whatever subject they did, for each one of them, I will put a little check mark in the box that corresponds with that subject. And then moving on here, you guys, I am doing a cleaning tracker. This also helps me keep track of things that I want to do, reminds me to stay creative and look a little bit deeper, see if a window needs to be washed or under the beds haven't been done in a while and stuff like that. You can fill it out with whatever tasks need to be done, so it's 100% customizable and it's really easy to use. I wrote a clean home and a calm mind, and then I'm going to highlight each row. I'm actually doing each fourth row here with the blue marker and then highlighter, and then filling them in until the entire thing is full. And you don't see me writing it down here, but later I will write down those things that get done regularly that I want to keep track of over there on the left. And then I will just check it off on the days that I did it. And that's a really nice and easy way to keep track of chores and basic things that need to get done around the house, and even like how many loads of laundry I've done that month and stuff like that. I don't know. I guess I'm weird. I like statistics of stuff like that. Okay, you guys, our final tracker for the month is something not very original or revolutionary, but it is my self-care tracker, and it's really simple. It's the days of the month across, so 31 for this month, and then as many as you need down. Okay, you guys, so I want to be honest because I said that this is not revolutionary, but for me, it has been. I've only used it 1 month so far, and I absolutely loved using it. It helped me so much over the course of the month to remember to do the things that I want to do every day. Because you guys, I'm not one of those people that just remembers to take my supplements and vitamins, or remembers to take a few minutes to calm my mind and do some meditations and stuff like that. I'm really easily distracted and I'm forgetful. So this has helped me a ton over the month, and I really enjoy also looking back and seeing all the things marked off that I did or didn't do, and how my energy was over the course of the month, how my motivation was, how many days did I drink coffee, because I try not to drink too much of it. It's not very good for me. Stuff like that I don't know. I just really enjoy looking back and seeing how I did. It's really fun for me. So even though it's nothing new under the sun, it's definitely really made a big difference for me. And so that's why I'm bringing it back and tailoring it to fit my needs and my wants. And you can see here on the left that I'm adding in also a tracker, 31 days down. And it's just 2 little spaces to write in how many hours I fasted that day. And here I'm writing in the key for this chart, and I am so in love with it. Please tell me if you have seen anybody else use a key like this, where it's based on the size of the dots for a lot, some, or a little, or tiny, or an X for none, because I really love it, and it's so easy to glance over the month and get a feel for how things went. I don't know. I'm not sure if I actually invented it, but let me know if you guys have seen it somewhere else. And just like that, we're on to the final spread for the video. This is my weekly spread, and I don't remember where I saw this or something similar to this. I'm not sure if it was like Plant-Based Bride or someone like that. I wish I could remember. It was a while ago, but I tried it and I loved it. So it's a column down for each day of the week, a mini calendar in the upper left, and then a box for the focus of that week. And I write down January week 1 and focus, and then I highlighted on a different paper and I ripped out little pieces to be the label for each day of the week to add a little bit of color to the page, and I am gluing them down with stick glue. So I'm just using my Sharpie pen to add in the names of the days of the week. And since there's only 6 days in the first week of January, I'm using that extra slot down below for notes. And I highlighted the week that is on that spread. And there you have it. So just a quick flip through of the month spreads. This one, I really like how it turned out. You guys tell me what you think. And then this one for the whole month, my monthly goals, what I am proud of, and things that I think I can improve on, my brand dump. I still hadn't noticed right there that I wrote that wrong. My menu, my daily gratitudes, my sleep tracker with its little watercolors on the side there, and I have a couple extra spaces just for anything extra I want to add in. Sometimes I add in pictures that I print out from the month or things like that. And then here are the school trackers. Once again, I love these. They're so helpful. Highly recommend them. And my clean home tracker. And I can't wait to fill it out. And the self-care tracker, which I'm also really excited to use again. I know I'm going to say that just about every tracker, but really it's so much fun looking back at it, for me anyways. So there you have it. I hope that this inspired you all to track some stuff, to organize and set some goals, to look forward to the new year and the new month, and to enjoy life just a little bit more. Happy New Year to everybody, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye.